to start this video out by saying I'm not trying to sell you anything. I found out about this adjustable wrench and just kind of wanted to share it with the world. So normally you got wrenches like this, but this thing right here is so good that I'm going to argue it's actually better than a normal wrench. I've had a few adjustables over the years, and this is by far the best one I've ever found. The reason why I would argue that this is actually better than this guy right here is because when these go onto a fastener, they obviously need a little bit of tolerance. Like, I don't know if you can see the bolt moving in there. They need a bit of tolerance so they will actually go over the top of the bolt. When you're using a normal adjustable, it's going to have that tolerance too, because there's just that movement in the jaw. It's just the nature of the tool, right? But this thing has one of the selling points that I would argue, one of the reasons why you'd want a wrench like this is because I don't know if you can see that. I can feel it moving, but you almost can't even see that on camera. There's barely any movement in this jaw. It's just got really, really tight machining tolerances. And the reason why that's better than an open-ended wrench is because you can keep tightening down on this thing to where there's zero tolerance in between the wrench jaws and the bolt. I think that's pretty darn amazing. Another thing that I absolutely hate about, or I don't hate it, but something that's really annoying about adjustables is that they always move. So you use the adjustable, you turn the bolt a little bit, you come off, and then every time you go back to the bolt with your adjustable, you got to kind of spin the worm gear again to tighten the jaws back up, and that's it's really annoying. It's adjusting itself as you're using it. But one of the cool things, again, go back to this guy, if you can see it, it's actually got this like spring-loaded little worm screw. I don't know what you call this thing, but what it does is it keeps it tight. There's a little, you can't feel it, but I can feel it. There's a little bit of back drag while you're moving this thing up and down the jaws. So what that means is where you set this jaw is where it stays. It's super, super cool. And then obviously there's not that slop when you're adjusting the jaw. Like with this, when you go forward, it's up top. It's up top on the worm gear, and then when you go back down, there's a second of delay in moving this thing before the jaws actually start moving, and that does not happen with this guy. Just super cool. So I'll show you what company this is. Top. This is a made in Japan tool, so Top is not a cheapy brand. This is a very high-end wrench, and I think you'll agree it's a beautiful wrench. I love that, like, I don't know, it looks like an infinity to me. Gorgeous, gorgeous wrench. Another feature here too, the jaws are offset by 15 degrees, I think it is. It's hard to read this stuff on the box because it's all made in Japan stuff, but very high-end, tight machining tolerances. You can see this one has the thin jaws, so it's going to get into places that a normal adjustable wrench will not get into, and it's actually a tighter jaw than this Craftsman wrench. It's actually a tighter jaw than all wrenches that I own. So this thing's super, super nice, and it pretty much doesn't slip on bolts. I've had it slip on, I haven't had it slip on anything. So super cool. I think what we're going to do next is we're going to get some WD-40 on these nuts and bolts here, and we're going to see if it'll slip on the bolts. So both of these are grade 8 nuts and bolts, 7/16. Trying to get both of them in here. Yeah. And then crank on it. So get a little bit of WD on here and run them all the way down, and then we're going to test them to failure. So we'll get these nuts and bolts snugged up here, just tight, and I wanted to show you something. It's pretty darn cool. So we've got the top adjustable here. Go tighten it on a bolt, and you can kind of see how much slop there is. There's pretty much nothing pushing in and out. Very, very little. I checked both of these. This is a Craftsman and this is a Klein. Both of them have about the same tolerances in the jaw, and you put one of these on here and look how much they move. Crazy in comparison to the Top. Anyways, let's test these guys to failure. So we're just going to keep cranking on it and see if the jaw fails. Is the bolt going to give, or is the open-ended of the wrench going to give up? Let's see. All right. You can't tell that's giving, but I can. Yeah, it's way easier now. So it stripped the threads on the bolt. The other bolt was just in my way to turn with this, so that's why we got it out of the jaws. But we'll even do it on the end of the jaws here. There's obviously going to be less deflection the further in you go on this guy. But start cranking. And there it goes. So you can't see that, but that's just spinning on the bolt. It's not getting any tighter. It stripped the threads on a grade 8 bolt. I think that's pretty darn good. So I think this begs the question, can you get an adjustable wrench that's really, really good? Like this top has proper machining tolerances, has this thread screw that only adjusts the jaw when you want it to. Will this replace your wrenches? I would say both yes and no. The reason why it's a yes is because you can pick up this one wrench versus going to like a whole wrench set, and this will turn any bolt, whether it's metric or SAE. I actually had that happen to me yesterday. It was easier to grab this than to grab a couple wrenches and take it over to whatever I was working on. The reason why you can't replace these is just if we adjust. Actually, let's get a different wrench. Hang on. Here's a 19mm Wera. If we adjust this, to here, the head of the Wera is still definitely smaller than the head of this adjustable wrench. There's going to be certain places where this is going to get into and this will not. The other thing is obviously you've got a ratcheting end, where applicable. Ratcheting is going to be way faster than constantly taking this off and on the bolt. So I love this thing. It gets used a ton at work. This is normally where that thing lives. We're at home right now. At work, this thing gets used every freaking day, and I absolutely love this tool. That said, you still need a set of ratcheting wrenches. So where this video kind of came from is I was messing with something on the camper's electrical system one day. And the crazy thing is, like, this whole electrical system uses like pretty much the same company. It's all Renogy. It uses all Renogy stuff, but a lot of the bolts and fasteners are still like a hodgepodge of SAE and metric. And I just needed to tighten up like a few fasteners, and I was trying to remember what size it was. And then obviously, is it metric or SAE? And I was sitting by the wrench drawer. I'm like, I can grab a couple wrenches and walk over here with them, or I could just grab this, and it would turn every bolt inside this fastener. So I know some people really don't like adjustable wrenches, but they definitely have their application. I also did new construction for a while, and you pretty much just walked around with an adjustable wrench in your pocket because it means you can turn any bolt in the entire building. Oh, and one more thing, because I almost forgot. Let me know if you'd be interested in seeing an ultimate adjustable wrench build. So I have a adjustable wrench at work. It's not a very good one, but what it has a spud end on the end. So you use the spud to like stick into 2 holes, and you can pry on to align things. And then it's also got a hammer anvil on the top of it, so you can use it as a hammer. And it's kind of the ultimate tool. That thing I use pretty much every day at work. The only problem with that adjustable wrench that I have at work is it's not a very good adjustable wrench. There's a lot of play in the jaws. So what I've done is I've actually bought a bigger top adjustable, and what I'll probably do is I'll cut the end off of it. First off, it being a top adjustable wrench, it's got the really good 0 tolerance jaws on it. What we'll do is I'll cut the end off of it and I'll add a spud into it, and then I'm gonna add a hammer anvil to that top adjustable. I wanted to get this video out, so it's being shipped to me now. But yeah, if that's a build you wanna see, let me know and we'll build it together. Since we're talking about adjustable wrenches here, I'd like to talk a little bit about some innovations that have gone on in adjustable wrenches recently. Real quick, this is a Husky. There's really no innovations in this Husky wrench other than the fact that it has a fine thread worm screw. I don't know if you can see that. Most of them are like this. You can see the difference in the thread pitch. So the only difference between a coarse thread and a fine thread like this, and that's true with bolts and screws as well, is that as you're kind of moving a fine thread, the head of the fastener moves down less per degree turn on a fine threaded fastener or screw. And consequently, you get a more precise torque. So it's kind of cool that they have that on this Husky adjustable. With that said, this is not a very innovative adjustable wrench. What is an innovative adjustable wrench? At work, I have an SK pliers wrench, and that thing's super, super cool. It's very similar to a Knipex pliers wrench. And it's great because the way that pliers wrench works is as you put force into the back handle of the SK wrench, it drives the lower jaw into the upper jaw. And the more force you apply, the harder those 2 jaws drive together. I have gotten that SK pliers wrench to slip, but you've got to put like an incredible amount of force through that thing. Like you're pretty much putting more force into the handle. Excuse me, I said that wrong. You're putting so much force into the handle, it's about more than you can apply, with your body to get those jaws to slip. So essentially the jaws almost never slip. Another thing that's super cool, a tool I don't have, but it works functionally identical to the SK's pliers wrench that I have, or the Knipex, which is what all of those plier wrenches are based off of, I'm pretty sure, is the Wera. It looks like a more traditional adjustable wrench, but what's going on and in the head is very similar to what's going on with the SK, where the way as you're driving into that back handle, the lower jaw actually gets forced up into the upper jaw, and that way they're just not going to slip. So anyways, just wanted to throw that in there. Adjustable wrenches have came a friggin' long way. Are they going to replace your normal open-ended wrenches? Absolutely not. But these things are a whole lot better than they used to be. Thanks for watching.